after emancipation? What are you celebrating? Somebody answer this question for me. The Snow Bunny Boogeyman needs to know, what are you celebrating on July 4th, 159 years after emancipation? See, let me say this to you. One thing is for certain, two things are for sure. Slaves don't celebrate slave master freedom. Free people damn sure don't celebrate slave master freedom. Do you realize on July the 4th of 1776, our ancestors were still enslaved by these United States? Are you aware that on July 4th, 1776, our ancestors were still picking cotton? They were still milling rum. They were still caning sugar. They were still searching for indigo. So why do we celebrate Thomas Jefferson's freedom from Great Britain? Why do we celebrate slave master George Washington's independence from Great Britain? Why do we celebrate Benjamin Franklin's emancipation from Great Britain when our ancestors were still their slaves? When our ancestors were still their slaves. When our ancestors were still their slaves and would remain their slaves for another 89 years. From 1776 to 1865 is 89 years. From 1776 to 1865 is 89 years. From 1776 to 1865 were 89 years. And for you fancy Negroes of the Pretendian Society, and for you fancy Negroes of the Pretendian Society, who may have had an ancestor who was a part of the revolutionary Maroon Village, let us not be mistaken. They too were subject to white supremacy. They too had to battle white supremacy. They too were under treaty with the United States government. So don't get it twisted. Don't get it twisted. Pretendians and Negropeans were all victims of the American power structure. Pretendians and Negropeans were all victims of the American power structure. Pretendians and Negropeans were all victims of the American power structure. To celebrate your slave master's freedom while you were still his slave is to validate the enslavement of African people. To celebrate the slave master's freedom while you were still his slave is to validate the enslavement of African people. Stop making excuses. I'm only celebrating being with my family. Well, it's 365 days a year. Why did you choose this day? There's no such thing as an emancipated people until you emancipate yourself from the worship of your slave master's holidays. I said there is no such thing as emancipation for a people until you emancipate yourself from the celebration of your slave master's holidays. I don't care what cookout you at. I don't care what swim party you at. I know you got the macaroni and cheese. I know you got the greens and the deviled eggs. I know you got the beef tongue and the beef ribs. I know you got the apple pie and the carrot cake. I know you got the beans and rice with the gravy. I know you can cook your ass off. But guess what, family? You're doing all that cooking and all that eating and all that swimming in the honor of your slave master's freedom while our ancestors were still their slaves. Brothers and sisters, we not free. Not only are we not free, we don't even want to be. I said, not only are we not free, we don't even want to be. I said, not only are we not free, we don't even want to be. Where's my flag? I know you didn't ask me that. I know this Negropean did not ask me that. Let me tell you about my flag. My flag is red on the top. It is black in the middle, and it is green on the bottom. That is my flag. It is the flag of the most honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey. It is the flag of the Pan-Africanist movement. It is the only flag universally voted on, approved, and adopted to be the flag of the African race. That's my flag. Now let me talk about your flag. It's not your flag. Because when your flag was created, you were still property of the U.S. government. How can it be your flag when you were not even considered a person? How can it be your flag when you were not even free? How can it be your flag when you were not even a citizen? How can it be your flag you were not even a human being? How can it be your flag when you had no rights? In the words of Supreme Court Chief Justice Roger B. Taney. In the words of Supreme Court Chief Justice Roger B. Taney, he said the black man has no rights. The black man has no rights that the white man is bound to respect. And you call that your flag? You need your melanin snatched, you Negropean. Somebody snatch that Negropean's melanin for me. Somebody please snatch that Negropean's melanin. He called the American flag his flag when he had no rights to own it. He had no rights to hold it. He had no rights to possess it. How can you call the American flag yours when you were not even a person? You were not even recognized as a human being. You were property. You were merchandise. You were a thing. I'll tell you what red, white, and blue stands for. Red stands for the blood of our ancestors that was shed building this country. I said red stands for the blood of our ancestors who were beat, brutalized, maimed, dehumanized, forced to work for free until death. For 246 years, the blood of our ancestors, that's the red. That's the red. The white is the flesh of your owner, your slave master, your dominator, your exploiter, your dehumanizer. That's the white of your flag for my proud Negroes. And the blue is for the blue eyes of your slave master and the blue waters that brought your ancestors. I said the blue is for the blue eyes of your slave master and the blue waters that brought your ancestors to this country. Somebody said we should love America for what she is now. Well, can I ask you a question, my Negropeans? Can I ask you a question, my bunny-hopping Negropeans? You said I should love America for what she is. Well, let me ask you, what exactly is she? You said that I should love America for what she is now. So I ask you, what exactly is she now? Are you any more free now than July 4th, 1776? Are you treated any more equal now than July 4th, 1776? Are the police sparing your lives any more now than the slave trackers on July 4th, 1776? If I should love America now, I must love oppression. If I should love America now, I must love slave trafficking of black children. If I love America now, I must love the lynchings and hangings of Africans in America today. If I love America now, I must love mass incarceration and miseducation. If I love America, I must love gentrification. I must love third-class citizenship. If I love America now, I must love